hit save, click back. It then now has my steak recipe here. It then updates and shows the new steak recipe. We have a complete Power app with a Power Automate using SharePoint, using the free license model, which means it comes with your Office 365 licenses. Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Hess, and today we're going to create a recipe book, and we're going to use a template in SharePoint to fill out this document. And this document is not going to use the Power Automate Premium connector. We're going to do this all for free. So when I do this, I've done this before, but I'm going to try and make this better and more fun. This is a brand new SharePoint site. It is connected to a group. So I'm going to go to the gear icon, Site Information, View All Site Settings. And I'm going to create some site columns for my recipe book. So we'll start with site columns. Now in order to do this, you do need to be an owner of the group, or you need to be an owner of the SharePoint site, or an owner, if it's a team site, you need to be an owner of the team. So in a recipe book, we're going to say there's going to be 6 steps, and I'm not going to leave any spaces in here. That's just habit. So I'm going to say step 1, single line text, and we're going to create a new group, and we're going to put this group in my recipe book. Okay, and then I'm going to do 6 steps real quick, just like that. So I'll probably fast forward. I'm going to do 6 steps. So this is step 2. And when I do step 2, I'm going to use an existing group. I'm going to do my recipe book and attach it to that group. This just helps me organize things. Okay, now I have 6 steps. If you come all the way to the bottom, you see my recipe book. We have 6 steps. So now I'm going to create another column. Let's just call this author, I guess. Is that what the creator of a recipe is? We'll call it author. And I'm not going to use a people picker. A people picker is not going to work. If you need a people picker and you have to have a people picker, after we do all this, create a Power app. And then in the Power app, use a people picker and then write a single line text to SharePoint. All right. It looks like my name is already reserved. Look at that. So we're going to call this recipe author. This is just another thing to learn. I'm going to leave my mistake in there. Never try and, don't go in there and delete a column that's out of the box with SharePoint. Just create a new column. I'll call it recipe author. And then finally, we'll have maybe ingredients. And we'll put it in the right group. Okay, we have 8 different fields here. They're all single line text. I'm keeping it simple. As soon as you add complexity to this, you need to use that premium connector, right? We're trying to do this without Power Automate, Power Apps Premium. Okay, now that I did that, I'm going to go back to Site Settings. Right here at the top, I can just click on that and go to Site Settings. And now I'm going to do Site Content Types. Now, what is a content type? A content type is a group of content. It can be fields, it can be items, it can be folders, it can be, many different things. But we're going to create a new content type, and it's going to be a recipe book. And it's going to use a document content type. And we will have document content type here, and it's going to be a document. So we're going to create a document, and it's going to have a template, and those columns are going to be the group of content that we're going to use in this content type. So I'm going to click Create. All right, now it wants me to add site columns. So I'm going to add from existing site columns. You could have done it before the other way and created them here, but I'm just going to add all of these, and I'm going to do it in, let's see, recipe author, ingredients, and then the steps. All right, and I'm going to keep this checked. Update all site and list content types inheriting. So I'm just going to say save. All right, so I've created a content type with my site columns. So now I'm going to go back to my site, and I have a document library, but in my opinion, maybe that document library is different. I'm going to create a new document library, and it's going to be recipes. So site contents, I'm going to create a new library, and we'll call it recipes. And keep your spaces, don't put spaces in these things. Just trust me after many years of SharePoint. All right, I have a new SharePoint library. It's called recipes. We're going to go to the gear icon again, and then library settings, more library settings. And we're going to turn on content types for this document library. So in order to do that, you go to advanced settings here. And let's see, allow management of content types. It's right here at the top. We're going to say yes. And then we'll click OK. All right, so now you can see we have a new section here. This new section is called content types, and it has document. But we don't want a regular document, right? Like a blank Word document. No, we want our recipe book. So I'm going to add from existing content type. And here's my recipe book. I just created that. And we're going to add it. And click OK. So now we've added recipe book. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove document. I'm going to come in here and delete this content type. I only want my document, the recipe book. So if we come back to the top of our document library, you can see new recipe book. That's all that's there. We don't have that other document content type. We have our recipe book. Okay, so now we want to make our Word template. Okay, so we need to make a Word template. So this was a question someone had. They wanted, you know, like this gallery. They wanted this Excel format in their Word document. In the template, I believe we can insert a table. And we can just insert the table. We want 6 because there's 6 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then I'm just going to add in here step 1. Now you can't do pictures. At least I'm going to assume that you can't do a picture in a template. You could automatically do one picture that's in every template, right? Like, so you could have a logo in here. Maybe we'll do that. Let's put a logo in our document. Okay, so I've been learning this in the past few months, but I'm going to use Midjourney to, you know, generate me some logos. All right, so I have some generated logos. I like this one right here. I'm just gonna, you know, for this scenario, since I just want to be fast, I'm gonna take this logo here and I'm gonna put it in my template. All right, I have my template for my document. I'm gonna save this to my desktop. All right, I saved my template to my desktop. Now I'm gonna go to settings, the gear icon, library settings, more library settings. And I'm going to go to, I believe I click on the content type, recipe book, and I'm going to click on advanced settings. And now you can see that, you know, there's a document template. We're going to upload the document template that we just created, right? So upload that. All right, I uploaded my recipe template. I'm going to click OK. It's not read only. We're going to say OK. Now, just to show you where we are in the content type and creating the template, if you click New and you do New Recipe Book, it's going to open up in browser our template. So we now have our template without the metadata, the data, the columns attached to the document, right? So we have our template. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new one, which I just did. And this is going to be recipe template 2. And I'm going to save this to my SharePoint library, right? So it should automatically save to my SharePoint library right there. So if we come back to our site, click refresh, I have my template here in my SharePoint library. Now, this is one of the downsides of doing it this way is in order for this to work, you can only open the document in the client application, which is Word. So we have to go back up to the gear icon, go to library settings, more library settings, advanced settings, and we have to say open in client application. It's the only way this will work. If you don't open in a client application, you won't be able to see the quick parts of the document. And then I'm going to click OK. and I'm going to go back to recipes, and I'm going to open my document. And it's going to open in Word. All right, so we have our document open. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come up to Insert, I believe, and we're going to do Quick Parts. Now we'll be able to see our document properties. Now you notice that the properties, the site columns that we created in SharePoint, are now showing up as document properties in our document. So for recipe, we're going to put in Quick Parts, document property. I believe it's name or it's title. Author, I'll put a space in, Quick Parts. We did recipe author, right? Recipe author. Ingredients. Step 1. And so forth all the way down. So now we have our recipe book. Now more about this document. If you go to File and Info, you'll also see those columns that we created in the properties of the document. So File, Info, you can see in the properties, you'll see the same columns. So we're going to save this to our desktop. So this is recipe template. We're going to rename this one. This is going to be named 3. Number 3, save to your desktop. Right? So the first document, we saved to our desktop. The second one, we saved to SharePoint called 2. This one, we're going to rename and call it 3. And I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. We're saving this number 3 to our desktop. Save. All right, so recipe template 3 is on our desktop. We're going to go back to the template, library settings, more library settings. We're going to click on the content type here. We're going to go back to the template in advanced settings, and we're now going to upload the new one, recipe 3. So the one that we just attached the document properties to, we're going to upload and replace the template. And we're going to click OK. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our document library. Now let's check out where we are in the process. So when I do New, Recipe Book, and we open up Word, we can now see our document properties are here. And even on the right side, it shows the document properties. Now you can write in the document, or you can write in the document properties on the right side. So for title, we'll put in spaghetti. And don't make fun of my skills here for making spaghetti. I see I can't even spell my name right. So 1, we need noodles. 2, we need water. 3, we need salt. 4, sauce. And 5, garlic. Okay, and then this is just for this first time. We're not going to have to do this every time. We want to make sure I save to our SharePoint site in the document library. So this will be called spaghetti. Okay, so we're going to save back into our SharePoint site spaghetti. Click Save. I'm going to close down Word. Click Refresh. We notice we have spaghetti in here. Now I'm going to add the columns to the view, right? So I'm going to go to Settings, Library Settings, more Library Settings. Then down here, I'm going to go to All Documents. And I'm going to add all those columns in the view. So I'm going to remove Modified, Modified By, and then I'm going to add Recipe Author, Ingredients, and then the steps. And it does matter which order you click these in. I mean, you can fix it later, but that just helps. And then I'm going to click OK. Now, if you notice, those properties are now in SharePoint. I did not write in SharePoint. Oh, thank goodness, right? Isn't that wonderful? So we have a document template with our logo, our recipe logo, and the steps for our recipe. Okay, so now we can do Power Apps. This is where we really get, so I'm a Power Platform developer. This is where I really like to have fun. What I'm going to do is I have 2 screens set up. I'm going to insert a vertical gallery. The vertical gallery is going to be connected to our SharePoint list. We can see we have my spaghetti. I'm just going to remove the picture here. I'm going to remove the arrow. We'll leave that as it is. I like the title and the ingredients. And you notice I'm using the new galleries that just came out. Kind of has the blue bar and the invisible white line. Now I'm going to insert the PDF viewer. Now you notice this is experimental, but I'm going to insert the PDF viewer, and then I'm just going to have a simple code that I have saved in there. Let's see, paste it right in. So substitute gallery 1, get the thumbnail large of a document. So now you can see, we can see our document in Power Apps. So let's make it a little bigger. There we go. I fixed it, so now it fits in there. We have our gallery. Let's create a new button, just so we can have another one. Let's do new. I'm just doing this really quick, right? I'm not doing a full Power App. So we're just going to say navigate to screen 2 on a fade. Let's see, fade. New. If you want more on this, then it's another video, but we'll just do new. So it brings us to screen 2, insert a form, and we'll do edit form, and I'll just, default it to new for now. So the default mode is new. And we got to connect it to our properties, recipe properties. Now we're going to have to save. I'm going to use Power Automate, create a new flow. This Power Automate is going to create the file for me in the document library I want. So I'm going to create from blank. All right, so step 1 for this Power Automate is to actually have the template somewhere that it can pick it up. So I'm going to go back to my SharePoint site, and in site contents, in site assets, I'm going to upload my template, and that was recipe number 3. So if I just upload, I have it right here, recipe template number 3. All right, so if you remember number 3 from the beginning of the video, that is this file. So now we're going to go back to Power Apps, new step, get file from content, is that right? Let me see if I can find it. Not get file content using path. All right, so then we're going to go to our SharePoint site, content type site. The file path is going to be our site assets. And we want to get the file. All right, so we have our file template. Then we're going to create a file, I believe is probably next. So create file. So we're going to create a file in the same SharePoint site. The folder path is going to be our recipes. So we want to put it in our recipes document library. The name of the file will be, we'll ask that in Power Apps, I believe. We'll get to that. The file content will be here. It does require a file name, so we'll ask in Power Apps. And then next what we need to do is we need to fill in those file properties. So update file properties, is that right? Let's see if we can find it. So update file properties, that looks correct. Okay. And then we're going to use that SharePoint site. The library name is the recipes. The ID is going to be the created file item ID. And then title, we'll ask in Power Apps, or let's see if we got it already. No, we don't. So this is where the trick is. A lot of people can't find this, and Microsoft hides it. You see this little see more right here? This is how you get more ask in Power Apps. Ask in Power Apps. Come down, see more, ask in Power Apps. Author, see more, ask in Power Apps. And we're going to go all the way down through each one, and we're going to ask in Power Apps. And I don't think we needed a description. I didn't add that. And then finally, we have content type ID recipe book. We're going to click save. We are done our Power Automate, creating it. So now we need to fix the button. So the button, as soon as that loads, we could probably rename this if we wanted to, but for now I'm not going to. This is the name of my Power App. Power Apps, this one here. And then we're going to do .run in parentheses. And if you look in the IntelliSense, it's going to help you out. File name is going to be, so hopefully these are in order. Data card value 1. I haven't renamed them. Data card value 1 dot text. The next one is the title again. Oh, so this is where, so we have to say and. Maybe this will work like this. We'll see. .docx. We'll see if that works. I'm just playing this by ear. All right, so now we're going to do data card value 2.text. All right, that's the author. No, that's ingredients. So this is actually 3. This one is 2. So recipe author here. You can see the colors. The color codes helps you. Recipe author. Okay. So next is 4. That's step 1. All right, I think we're on a roll. We can just go down to 5 and straight on down. This one will be 6. And then 7. 8. 9. And hopefully that is all of them. So now let's fill this out. So we're on the new page. Does our save button navigate back? Let's also, on the save button, navigate to screen 1 on a fade. Once we would do that different ways, but I'm just rushing through this. All right, so now we're gonna do a steak. Andrew Hess. Ingredients is meat. 1 meat, 2 salt, 3 pepper. Step 1 is salt the steak, pepper the steak. Then we're going to let it sit. Let it sit for 10-15 minutes. Then we're going to sear the steak. We're not going to do a reverse sear if you're looking at that, and then we'll cook the steak. Then we'll let rest for 30 minutes. And I'll hit save and pray this Power Automate works. Hit save. Steak value cannot be converted to a number. Looks like I added a multiply here instead of a ampersand. I clicked, it was a misclick. All right, so let's try again. Hit save. This time it ran. Did it create a file in my library? Let's check out the library. It did create a file in my library. The gallery did not refresh yet, so let's, on visible of this screen, I'll refresh our data source, which is recipes. Now you maybe don't want to do this, but I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. So if I click new, I created a back button, click back. It then now has my steak recipe here. It then updates and shows the new steak recipe. And we could probably, print this, do all kinds of things with Power Apps. All right, so we have a complete Power App with a Power Automate using SharePoint, using the free license model, which means it comes with your Office 365 licenses. You don't need that premium connector. You do need to be an owner of the site. You do need to create the site columns and site content types the way I showed you. You have to upload the template to the site assets. And now you have a SharePoint site with documents with the columns right here in SharePoint. So hopefully this answers all your questions, Russell. This all sparked from a question from Russell. What level of permission do you need? Can you do choices? No, don't try and add complexity to it. You could do a choice and then convert it to a single line text. So you could do a choice in Power Apps, but it's a single line text in SharePoint. That's one way you can do choices, right? Is do that in Power Apps side. And so thank you all for watching. Hopefully this answers your questions, Russell. If you want to do choices, do a choice on Power Apps side. You don't need to do it on the SharePoint side, and then you can have your choices and write directly to your template. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.